I married a prayer point because of pressure from my mother. If I tell you today that the man I call husband is not my blessing but my prayer point, will you believe me? If I tell you that the same person people in church respect as chief elder, the same man my mother praised as a gift from heaven, has been the source of my deepest pains, will you still say I am lucky? My name is Amara. I'm 27 years old. But if you look into my eyes today, you will think I am 15. I carry the kind of sorrow that bends a person's back. And to think I didn't walk into this marriage blindly. No. I walked in because my own family, my own mother most especially, tied my hands and pushed me. I obeyed her. I silenced my fears. And today, I am paying for it every single day of my life. But let me take you back to the beginning. I grew up in a family where poverty was like a permanent tenant. My father was late, and my mother carried us with her petty trading. We were 4 children, and as the first daughter, I had always been the one to sacrifice. School fees, house rent, food, and by the time I was 25, I was still struggling with a tailoring business that barely put food on our table. So when Chief came into the picture, it felt like an answered prayer, at least to my mother. Chief was 45, a big man in church, a respected elder. He was the type people would call humble billionaire. He donated heavily during harvest, sat on the front pew, and even the pastor called him pillar of the church. My mother would always whisper to me, Amara, do you know what it means to marry a man like Chief? All our suffering will end. But I wasn't convinced. Chief was old enough to be my father, and there was something about him I couldn't place. The way his eyes followed young girls in church. The way his laughter was always loud but empty. I told my mother, Mama, I don't love him. I don't even know him well. Her response still rings in my ears. Love? Does love pay school fees? Does love buy foodstuff? My daughter, don't be foolish, oh. Men like Chief don't come twice. Marry him and secure your future. Marry him and lift your siblings. Marry him and respect will follow you everywhere you go. From that day, my freedom ended. Every relative, aunties, uncles, even church members joined the chorus. Amara, you are blessed. Amara, you are lucky. Chief has chosen you. I felt like a commodity being prepared for sale. And after months of pressure, after months of tears, after months of manipulation, I finally agreed. Not because I wanted to, but because I was tired of fighting everyone. Our wedding was like a carnival. Church was packed full. Choir sang like angels. Pastor's sermon was long and sweet. My mother wore the biggest smile of her life, and my siblings, they danced like they had just won a Visa lottery. Everybody was happy, except me. As Chief slipped the gold ring on my finger, my hands trembled, my heart was heavy, but I forced a smile. People clapped, women elated, and some whispered, this girl is wise. See how God answered her family's prayer. After the wedding, gifts poured in. Chief bought my mother a new shop, paid my brother's university fees, and promised to sponsor my youngest sister abroad. My family was over the moon. For them, this was heaven. But my heaven ended on the very first night of our marriage. That night, Chief showed me the man behind the holy elder. He came to me not like a husband, but like a conqueror. No tenderness, no patience, just force. I cried, begged, and pleaded. But he reminded me in harsh whispers, you are my wife now. Don't forget that. By morning, my body was sore, and my heart was broken. I wanted to run back home to Mama, but then I remembered her words, endure, marriage is not easy. So I endured. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Chief's real nature unfolded like a nightmare. He was controlling, told me when to eat, when to sleep, how to dress, even which friends to keep. he was cheating openly, I would smell strange perfumes on his shirts, see lipstick stains on his collars, and hear women giggling on the phone. If I dared question him, he would roar, "Amara, do not ever raise your voice at me. I feed your family. Without me, you people are nothing." And the worst part, my mother knew. But that truth I only discovered later. Living with Chief was like living with a time bomb. I never knew what would set him off. Some days he came home smiling, calling me my queen in front of visitors. The next day he would slap me across the face because his food was too salty. He treated me like a property. He would say, "I married you. I bought you. Don't ever forget that." I wanted to tell Mama. I wanted to run back home and cry on her shoulder. But every time I picked up my phone, I would remember how she danced at my wedding, how she told people, "My daughter has married her breakthrough." Finally, one day, I couldn't hold it anymore. After Chief had beaten me because I didn't answer his call on the first ring, I ran to my mother's shop. My face was swollen. My lips were cut. "Mama," I cried, "I can't do this anymore. Chief is a monster. He beats me, cheats on me, insults me. I am dying inside." My mother didn't look shocked. She didn't even gasp. She finally sighed and said, "Amara, you're not the first woman to be beaten. No. Marriage is endurance. Do you think I didn't endure your father? Do you think other women don't cry? Go back and be patient now. Don't let outsiders laugh at us. Do you want to bring shame to this family?" Her words crushed me. It was the way she said it. Cold, dismissive, as though she already knew what Chief was. That night, as I lay awake, something began to click in my head. My mother had never looked surprised, not once. She already knew the kind of man Chief was before she pushed me into this marriage. But why? The truth came out in the ugliest way. One evening, I overheard a heated conversation between Chief and Mama in the living room. I had just come downstairs to pick water from the fridge when their voices drifted in. I froze behind the curtain. Chief's voice was low but angry. "Madam, I have done everything I promised. I paid your debts. I built your shop. I sent your son to school. So stop disturbing me about how I treat Amara. You know the kind of man I was before you gave her to me." And then Mama's reply stabbed me like a knife. "Chief, all I ask is, don't disgrace her publicly. She is still my daughter. But remember, I warned her. I told her to obey me. I told her to accept this marriage. If she suffered, she should blame herself for refusing to be wise." I felt my knees weaken. My own mother, the one I trusted, the one I cried to, had known. She had known that Chief was violent. She had known that Chief was a womanizer and a tyrant. But she still gave me to him like a lamb for slaughter. All because of money. That night, I locked myself in the room and wept until my chest hurt. I wasn't just Chief's prisoner. I was my mother's sacrifice. My life became a silent war. Chief continued with his cheating and abuse while I wore the marks of happy wife outside. My family enjoyed his money while I carried his curses. People still pointed at me in church saying, "See Amara, she's enjoying. God really blessed her." They never knew that behind closed doors I was living in hellfire. But life has a way of bringing everything to the light. Chief's downfall came faster than I imagined. One Sunday morning, just as church service was about to begin, police vans stormed the compound. Before the pastor could even finish his opening prayer, officers marched inside and cuffed Chief and dragged him out. The whole church gasped. Some cried, some argued, but me? I just stood there, my heart strangely calm. Later, I found out Chief was being investigated for fraud and illegal deals. All his wealth, all his respect, all his connections crumbled like sandcastles in one day. Suddenly, the same people who used to hail him as pillar of the church turned their backs. My family that once praised me for marrying him began to avoid me, ashamed of the scandal. And Mama, she could not even look me in the eye. After Chief's arrest, my world turned upside down. But in a strange way, I finally tasted freedom. The mansion we lived in was seized, its cars, businesses, even its so-called donations to the church was frozen by the government. Overnight, I went from Chief's young wife to that woman whose husband is in prison. Friends disappeared. Even church members who once envied me now avoided my seats, as if disgrace was contagious. At home, the real pain was not Chief's downfall. It was Mama's silence. When I confronted her, when I asked her through tears, "Mama, why did you do this to me? Why did you give me to a man who you knew was a beast?" She looked at me with tired eyes and said words that will haunt me forever. Amara Achiko, I did it for survival. I wanted a better life for you, for all of us. I thought if you endured, one day you would thank me. Marriage is never perfect. I thought wealth could cover the pain. I stared at her, my heart breaking into pieces. My own mother had sold me, not with money, but with pressure. She traded my peace for my comfort, my happiness for her pride. I realized then that I was never Chief's wife. I was his possession. And worse, I was my family's project. Today, as I raise my little daughter alone, I tell every young woman who cares to listen, never marry because of pressure. Not from family, not from society, not even from your own fears. The scars you will carry are heavier than the shame of saying no. If you marry for wealth, you will pay with peace. If you marry for status, you will pay with your soul. And if you marry to please others, you will live the rest of your life as their sacrifice. I married a prayer point because of pressure from my mother. Until today, I am still praying.